This episode is brought to you by Levitt Pavilion. This summer, check out one of my favorite outdoor concert venues in Denver, Levitt Pavilion. May through October, Levitt is offering ticketed and totally free all-ages concerts. I feel like we just go to anything that's free because it's like the kids can be at the show and people aren't weird about it, and you can bring a picnic. It's awesome. Some of the free shows this season include Iskali, Melvin Seals, War and Treaty, Sunny War, Charlie Tuna, and more. To RSVP for free shows and buy tickets, plus see the full concert schedule, go to levittdenver.org. That's levittdenver.org. Today on CityCast Denver, do you really want to know how much that concert ticket costs? Because a new bill would mandate transparency, but the data tells a different story about what fans really want. We're digging into that and all the other big stories of the week, from Jamal Murray's embarrassing outburst to road rage numbers you will absolutely believe. Today is Friday, May 10th. I'm Bree Davies, and here's what Denver's talking about. Welcome back to CityCast Denver, the show about the city with a very winning hockey team and a basketball team that is acting such a fool during the playoffs. I am embarrassed for Denver. Say more.
Hey, Suns are out. I have nothing to say. And, 80 points is a lot of points. That's great. You guys are doing so good.
Oh, we lost by so much on top of acting so terribly. Well, it's Friday. We're in the 5280 Magazine studios. We have great guests today. You've already heard his voice. He's an award-winning comedian who just got back from filming Netflix as a Joke in L.A. Joshua Emerson is here. Hello.
Hi. How you doing today? Good morning, Bree.
How was your trip?
LA is stupid, and I love Denver, and the ocean's cool, and the food's all right, and everybody stinks over there. So.
But we get to see you in a Netflix production at some
point? If you're lucky. Yeah.
What's the timeline?
I have no idea.
Okay, great.
Yeah. I've talked to my people, but I don't have any people. So, yeah.
Okay. I'll keep bugging your Gmail address.
Sounds great. So, yeah, Danger Emerson. Wait, don't cut that.
We're also joined today by the founder of the independent practice space, studio space, venue space, Manos Sagrados. She's a veteran of Colorado radio. You may have heard her on Indie 102.3, her incredible show that was just this beautiful thing called Especial. She's now on KGNU, and she has been an organizer in this arts world here since 2006. Bruce Trujillo, hi.
Good morning, Bree.
Good morning. Welcome back. I realized we had you a couple years ago at our live show.
Yeah, it's been a minute.
It
wasn't at these studios. It was down at UMS.
Yeah, we were at Mutiny Information Cafe. One of my favorite spots. Tell us about what you're doing at KGNU right now.
Just volunteer DJing, which is great, and it's
because you can't not.
Wonderful. Yeah, I can't not. I was away for a year, and it was like, oh, this pit in my heart is radio, and I just had to get back. So it's just once a month on afternoon sound alternative, maybe here and there on the punk show, here and there on Corriente, which is their Spanish language. So it's really nice, and I get to do everything that I want to, play everything that I want to.
I love that. That is the beautiful part about community radio, too, is you truly can curate it how you really, really want. There's no other special pressure interests around you. So that's awesome.
Exactly. Yeah.
Okay, well, our first actual topic today is regarding concert tickets, big event tickets. And there was a new bill, House Bill 1378, which is awaiting the governor's signature or veto, which would require service fees and so-called convenience fees to be shown as part of the original ticket price. This is called all-in prices. All-in pricing versus drip pricing, which is where service fees sort of are tacked on throughout the purchasing. Online you go through several steps to do something. And the reason I said signature or veto from Polis is because the Colorado Sun reports that last year Polis vetoed Senate Bill 60, which included this fee transparency. But it also had some components of that bill that included fines for fraudulent ticket sellers and operators who use bots. But those parts were taken out. So we're essentially left with this bill that requires ticket sellers to tell us how much we have to pay for concert tickets up front, which seems like something we should have already been able to know. Bruce, this is your wheelhouse. This is your world. You've worked as a promoter. You work every day with artists. What do you think about this change?
I think it's absolutely necessary. And I will say, I have been purchasing tickets in other cities also, most recently for a show at the Hollywood Bowl earlier this week. And it showed the fee right underneath the price of the ticket. And it was like, oh, cool. Also, by the way, much less than anywhere you're seeing here in Denver. The ticket itself was about $89. Absolutely worth it. And it said an $11 fee.
Just right up front.
Right up front. I'm like, okay, so I'm paying $100 total for each of these tickets. Whereas if I'm buying for a show at, say, Red Rocks or Ball Arena, it's, here's a $50 ticket. And then by the time you're paying it out, you're paying another $50 in fee, which is absolutely ridiculous and price gougy. And I've heard several other folks within the industry say, like, it's a very Denver and Colorado specific issue.
Really?
Yes. And it's I can't wrap my brain around it because it's all these bigger venues, right? It's AEG owned, it's Live Nation owned. Your independent venues are now tacking on some fees, but that's because they have to use third-party ticketing systems.
Right.
So it makes sense, but I cannot fathom why we're paying double the price of a ticket in ticketing fees.
Joshua, you're a performer. You're
Sure.
sort of on the other side of this. What do you think about this bill?
I think Americans have been conditioned for drip pricing. When you look at how when you go to 7-Eleven and the sales tax, you sort of have to do that math in your head, and so you don't really know what you're paying until they actually tell you the total. And we're one of the only first world nations that does that. Like you go to the UK or anything like that, the price is the price, and that does affect the way that we see the value in something. StubHub, they did a study on where they had two groups. One group where they had very upfront in terms of what the cost was, and then where they hid the fees, and they were able to extract more revenue out of the people where they hide the fees. So that's why the companies are doing it. As a performer, it's very frustrating because the fees don't affect how good the performance is going to be,
or that you're making any of that.
You don't see any of that.
100%. Yeah, Zach Bryan, he's real big on this in terms. He released a live album called "All My Homies Hate Ticketmaster," which all my homies hate Ticketmaster too.
I don't know anyone that loves it. That's for sure.
And so he's trying to fight this, using economics a little bit, where you have to register for a lottery, and then so that bots can put a lot of names into the lottery, but there's no resale. You can't sell more than the face value. So there's no reason for bots to take up all those tickets. And then that way his fans can actually come see him play live. And
that's the frustrating part to me is fans really ultimately, not only do the artists are not making this service fee money, fans are missing out.
Right.
Well, at a certain point, right, it just makes it a higher price point, which people will pay. So to your point, like we've been conditioned to buy this amount, but then it's like it's normalized. It's to a point where it's like, oh, I can't even afford to go see, big names like Bad Bunny, Taylor Swift, all of these things, but they're still getting purchased.
Right.
And those stadiums are still decently full. So it's a thing that we as the audience keep perpetuating because we're like, yeah, I still want to go see that. So I'm still going to pay it. Yeah. Mm-hmm. But it's not fair. It's not okay. And then also to your point, artists are not seeing that. That's built into the base ticket price.
I was like, touring has become less and less and less lucrative for a certain level of artistry. Like I'm thinking about my friends Manic and Pussy are on this level where they're selling out the Bluebird, right? They're on a tour of that level. But they're not going to be making an insane amount of money versus somebody who is like a Bad Bunny is making much more money. But those people at this mid level those artists are losing. I think it's just like it's almost a losing game unless you have like really good merch or you know what I mean.
That's the game. Or it's like you're touring endlessly. Like I'm looking at La Luz, like their tour for this year is insane. Like,
and I feel like they've been touring on and off for like the last 15 years.
Yeah,
right.
And it's like at
a certain level.
Like, and the front woman of La Luz has been on tour and her husband is in another band and they're both touring nonstop. And it's like, at what point is it helpful? Because they're not making money off of streaming. They're not making money off of really anything else. You have to do the merch game. And then, of course, venues take a cut of merch. And it's like, okay, at what point are these artists that are independent or semi-independent, not stadium level, like, how are they able to make a living? Because they're they're touring too much. They can't get another job.
Right,
you know?
right. You can't, but it's like almost not enough to be sort of like a working class or middle class living.
Also, some of the best art is in that level too. That's
Absolutely.
where people are
100%.
You know,
That's where you
and
also build
so,
your fan base.
100%.
You know what I mean? Is when you can see those people at the smaller venues and become that fan that goes to see them if they eventually get there to the ball arenas or whatever. Bruce, you've been on the other side, like I said, a promoter. You book shows. You see how this stuff breaks down. Like how do ticket prices get determined?
So it depends on the size of the venue, amount of tickets that you're able to sell. So something like a High Dive or smaller independent venues, those ones are generally pretty easy. We're going to set this ticket price at $15, $20, whatever. Venue retains a certain amount and the bar. And then the rest of it is like, okay, ticket sales, you get the rest of that. I think that's fine. They're dependent mostly on the bar. You go up maybe a tier, and then you're really breaking down the cost of everything to put on that show. So opening the doors, how much is electric going to cost? How much, X, Y, and Z.
Bigger staffing, more staffing for a bigger venue.
Exactly. But then you put in the price per ticket or a specific guarantee for an artist, and then that builds the actual ticket price. What becomes tricky after that, though, is are these tickets going to sell? What happens if it's too expensive for people to buy? Like, let's say that there's a mid-level artist coming in and they don't sell enough tickets. Everybody's losing money. Or you're paying out an artist like $30, which is embarrassing. Which happens that's happened to me during coming out of the pandemic.
Yeah.
And everybody kind of understood it, but it kind of sucked. So then you get up to these higher levels and it's, you don't, I don't know. The thing is though, is that you don't include the ticketing fee in any of that. You just add it on after. So we'll say something like over 2,000 tickets are being sold. Cool. Well, here's your guarantee. Here's what we're doing for house costs. And then we're putting that out to the audience and then adding on another
this other fee that
price.
doesn't go into any of that. And so it just feels, I don't know.
It's silly. And some of it is, there's a certain number, I'll say Eventbrite, right? I've used them exclusive.
And they're a smaller ticketing agency that I'm sure you've used, Joshua.
I use Eventbrite, yeah.
Yeah, for smaller shows or independent when you're putting things on yourself.
Yeah. So they'll take a small price and then it's the credit card fee, which is $1.50 or something. But they cap it at you can only add on $5 ticket
versus
fee.
Sometimes, like you were saying, $15, $20, $25 in these multiple fees. Joshua, I mean, how does this work out I would assume ticketing is a little different in the comedy world, but are you all making money? I mean, what does that look like for you?
Yeah, I mean, sometimes it's just a Venmo and you're like, hey, just scan the Venmo and we'll get you in. I think Sam T is a good example of that. Right during the pandemic, he had people Venmo him for the book directly, and he was able to sort of get a whole bunch of cash all at once for his book that he self-published. And so there's the aspect of that. I like to use Eventbrite because it's integrated with social media in terms of advertising. Because so much of comedy, people understand the value of music right away. This makes me feel something because I hear it and it's beautiful and it's ancient. Comedy, still, just the concept of it is still kind of an ask.
Do I want to pay for this?
Right, yeah. Even here in Denver, where you do have people that have been to comedy shows, you go to a place I don't know, Seattle, there's a lot of people that have not been to one comedy show, let alone a comedy show outside of a club venue or a theater or.
So you're trying to prove value on top of
100%, yeah,
which makes it even more complicated.
Yeah, I'm gonna go to Flagstaff and I'm gonna walk the streets with flyers, just barking at people, just come to my comedy show. I promise to you, I will make you laugh.
It seems like that's also more bigger names. Yeah, that makes sense. But then up and coming independent comedians, why would I pay for that? Right? 100%. It's not integrated as well, I don't think, as maybe independent
value.
Music.
Yeah, the value
of
paying a performer, which makes total sense to us as people who have been performers or understand the value of that art. But it is a hard sell to someone who's, Bruce, you know this. It's hard to sell local bands to people. You know,
Yeah,
like,
it is.
It seems weird to us, but it's like, but just come in. I swear, it's going to just come into the show. I swear, it's going to be the best.
Be so good.
I've had these transformative experiences with this band, and they're like, yeah, but I've never heard of them.
That's fair.
You know, so I don't know. Well, there was this really interesting piece in the Colorado Sun article, which is in 2013, StubHub, the nation's largest ticket reseller, decided to include its 15 to 17% service fees in the initial price. So basically, StubHub conducted this 2-year study to see if consumers preferred seeing the full price of the tickets up front or if it impacted whether they bought the tickets or not. And they found that, quote, consumers are more likely to purchase tickets from a site that shows a lower cost up front, regardless of how much the fees jack up the price. So StubHub found that people would rather not know. Does that make sense to you guys? I struggled with this.
Yeah, I think seeing a lower price and then you're in it, you're putting in your information and then it adds it on, right? You're less
Just
likely
like,
to
I'm already in this process.
Like you already have my information. They're going to email you back if you like leave the site anyway. Like just get it done.
Yeah, so the initial decision that is more important, the like, when am I going to go to this show or not? And so once you get them on the hook for that, they're much more likely. Well, I'm already, the sunk cost fallacy is what it's called. Yeah,
I'm kind of already invested in this, and I feel you because a lot of times it's a stressful interaction too. Like maybe you're waiting for the tickets to open. You're online right when it happens. You're in a queue or whatever, and then what are you going to do once you get in there? Yeah, you're right. Are you just going to be like, nope, okay, never mind. This $25 extra, I'm not going to pay. And it sounds like people are like fine with paying it.
Yeah. Well, and it's like to that point, if you're in a queue for so long, like you can't step back and think about it for too long. It's like you lose your spot in line and then you lose those specific seats. Maybe you got some really good ones. You have to make that decision right then. And then it's like, yeah, I'll pay.
They have the countdown.
Yeah, exactly.
Down. He was like, I have 8 minutes to do this. Yeah. When Taylor Swift came through town, there's elevated heart rates.
The psychology. Yeah. There's the psychology behind it is in like the scarcity idea and like, but am I going to be able to get these tickets?
To that point, so these tickets that I bought in LA, they're for Herbie Hancock's Headhunters 50th anniversary with the OG lineup, by the way. Like, wow. I'm going to that show. So being able to see, though, like the price of everything, it was like, this is actually much nicer. It still had the countdown, all of that.
But you knew.
I knew. And I was like, oh, I'm actually going to spring for like the $89 tickets versus the $50 tickets because there's only $11 attached to the fees. Like
that doesn't seem so bad.
Yeah, it actually helped, and it was like, okay, I do want to kind of go for these higher tickets. They're all making more money. It's the ticketing website is maybe not making more
much money.
I don't know.
Well, it'll be interesting to see if this bill goes through. We'll see how consumers react because we know if we know anything about Colorado, we love live music. We love live entertainment. Is this going to impact our ticket sales? I guess it remains to be seen.
Yeah.
Well, we're going to take a quick break, and when we come back, we're talking road rage. This episode is brought to you by the Colorado Wine Board. Because the wine community here is like surprisingly robust. I mean, think about Bigsby's Folly and Infinite Monkey Theorem here in Denver alone. And there are urban wineries all across the Front Range. Then there's the Western Slope, Paonia, Palisade. Hello, Palisade wine, are you kidding me? It didn't used to really be a thing, but from what I hear, it's very much a thing now. There are more than 165 wineries across Colorado to explore, and they produce all sorts of wine that reflect our unique culture and climate. So finding a label that you're going to love is easy, no matter where your adventure takes you. Discover it for yourself and support local winemakers at coloradowine.com. That's coloradowine.com. And we're back. We're talking about road rage because Consumer Affairs published this study recently attempting to show which states have the worst road rage. Colorado was number 4. They compared things like rates of speeding, careless driving tickets, crashes, fatality, and traffic accidents involving gun violence, which we'll get to. But before, there was Louisiana was number 1, New Mexico was number 2, Montana was number 3, and then Colorado was number 4. Are you guys road ragers?
Yes.
How did this?
Off that, yeah. I had road rage. I had road rage on the way here, Bree. I wish people knew how to merge. I really wish.
Merging is a real problem.
I mean, everybody. I want to break the news to you. Zipper merging is where you let people in at the merge point, not a block back, because that blocks traffic up more. So let your fellow human in. and we'll all move along
But
faster.
I think we try to do it earlier because we know that no one's going to let us into
I
the
know.
top.
It's like a self-perpetuating cycle. It's so annoying.
How does your road rage manifest? Do you yell?
Yeah.
Okay.
I do. And I don't yell at people. My windows are up, right? But I get angry. I'm like, let me in, you yeah, it's, yeah.
I learned that I am vocal in my road rage because my husband was in the car with my toddler the other day and he said, Daddy, what are you doing? He said, I'm looking for parking. And then my son said to him, I'm looking for parking, damn it. And he said, who says that? And Montgomery said, Mommy says that. Mommy says that. So Mommy says a lot of things in the car that I have now realized I cannot say out loud because there is a person behind me recording this mentally, everything.
My mom used to say, like, God damn you or whatever. And then she changed it to God bless America anytime, because I am positive I got my road rage from her. But all right. I mean, you've already, that's already in my brain, the other one. But now it's funny.
I don't know. I did something similar to a couple of months ago where I said, damn it. And then I was like, dang it. And then I turned it into a game and I was like, dong it, doong it. And now if I say, damn it, Montgomery goes, dang it, dong it, doong it. Like right behind me. So you can correct it. You can correct it. Joshua, what about you? Are you a road ragey driver?
No, I'm very emotionally intelligent. You know what I mean? My patience is crazy high.
I've gone to therapy. Okay.
I can't relate to either of you.
No, I do.
Ragey women.
I do get angry and I do like shout and yell and then I try to let it go, but it was third in 2022. So like Colorado stayed top 5 over this past decade. I think it's a construction. I get mad at construction.
Okay.
You know what I mean? Yeah.
I'm trying to figure out what this is about Colorado, though, you guys. Like, what the funny part to me was like Texas and California appear nowhere on this top 5. And
but
we
they're like the worst in Colorado.
We complain about their driving all the time. And I was like, so is it them or is it us? You know?
Yeah, that's a good question. I was thinking about this too. I wonder what kind of a ratio it is since like 2012. Where was Colorado on this list in 2012 before a massive influx of folks coming in? I'm sorry, don't know how to drive in Colorado. Driving the snow.
I was like, the snow part is definitely where we see some.
Yes, that. But then it's also new people to Colorado because I remember you posted something a couple months ago about Colorado not being friendly, and I was like, growing up in Colorado, I know we are very friendly people. We're like, beep, boop, beep. But new people to Colorado are from other parts of the lands, and they're not necessarily nice. So you're walking down the street, and they're not giving you the smile that we all grew up with or whatever. So I'm wondering if some of it is also
sort of a culture clash.
Yeah, it's like new folks coming into town and the culture of like, you don't know how to drive here from people who are from here.
Well, and driving is just different in different places. I think about just like the way that I remember my cousin was like, we don't have double turn lanes where I'm from. And I was like, what do you mean you don't have double turn lanes? So she was like, she didn't understand how to utilize it. So there's a lot of like learning while you're driving maybe is part of it. You are someone who's not from here, Joshua. What do you think about
I'm from
that?
Phoenix and our freeways are great. Like they're big circles and they have like 6 lanes and like, and people still drive terribly in them. But like this right here, the I-70 and the I-25. Oh my God. It is insane. And then you can still go back on the I-70 even if you could take the I-25 exit.
It's
and
very
then go,
confusing.
And so and there's just it is. Why is there a person jumping off a diving board right now as I merge on? And then like just south on I-25 south going like every time you go by University and there's any like you'll get that little bottleneck right there. I don't understand. I guess I understand why a little bit, but it's just that the infrastructure wasn't built for the amount of people that are in the Denver metro now. And we're all being punished for it.
We're kind of behind when it comes to that in terms of like catching up with it. But also I think this is where transit folks and urban planning advocates would say, well, if you cared about our public transit system, it would be better. And then we would be less, apt to driving. But there's also just a driving culture here that is really hard to break.
Yeah, everything has been traditionally very far away, right?
Car oriented.
Yeah, it's not everything was touching at one point. Not every neighborhood and every municipality was so close together.
Yeah.
But now it's like, yeah, I can take the 15 from my house in
I was gonna
Westwood
say,
all
I
the way to
remember
Aurora.
a couple months ago, your car was out of service because you were documenting your bus riding.
Yeah.
And you were going from Westwood to Aurora, which is literally
Crazy.
one side of the city to the other. Did that experience change your thoughts on driving at all, Bruce?
I mean, a couple years ago, actually, I got rid of my car altogether. I lived 10 minutes from a light rail station, and the studios at Colorado Public Radio were 10 minutes from a light rail station. So it was like, I actually don't need to do this, and I get road rage on I-25. So I didn't have a car for 2 years, and I would use like the car share. I would use my roommate's car to go get groceries or just go with them, and that was great. It was a much less stressful time. But here, when I don't know, I lived like down by DU at that time too. So it was just much more centrally located than Westwood.
Yeah.
So having to jump on the bus there and then get anywhere in the city at this point, also in my career, it was like I had to tack on another hour each way to get it was not great. And I am so grateful to have my car back. But I wish it was easier to take public transit. When I was doing that before, it was awesome. I was getting work done. I was reading. I was, being able to ride my bike everywhere. But
you make a great point.
Yeah.
DU and the proximity to things like a full-service grocery store. Westwood has some smaller stores. They don't have a full-service grocery store.
Mm-hmm. So you have to go to Belmar or down to Broadway.
Which you need a car for.
Mm-hmm.
So, it's part of it being built into the built environment as well. I want to touch a little bit on the gun violence issue because this seems to be something that's really prevalent here in Colorado more than other places. Have either of you ever experienced or witnessed that? I have to say I'm lucky I never have.
Well, I was in the Marine Corps. And so yeah, everybody was strapped, but they were very big on like you don't flash at all, like because you can be prosecuted for it. And so the people that are flashing, and then some people even follow through on it and shoot people. They're at a different level, I guess. They're already doing something wrong when you're even just trying to intimidate somebody using a sidearm like that.
But it's like intimidate them for what?
Yeah, right.
Cutting
Something
you off?
silly.
Yeah.
I will say the only time I have ever seen a gun involved in like a car situation was in Paris, France, from our Uber driver. It was insane. Like our Uber driver kind of cut off a truck and this guy was honking at him. And the streets in Paris are like as wide as this table, right?
Yeah.
And he got so upset. We're standing on the other side of the street and he pulls out a gun out of the window and everyone's like, oh, and we canceled it. We're like, nope, we're from the USA and we have never seen it. And apparently we're all from Denver. We've never seen, and this is apparently very prevalent here. I've never seen it happen in traffic, thankfully, knock on wood. But I mean, I don't know, I guess knowing the rest of the state too.
Yeah, I was
a lot of people have a lot of guns.
You're from
I'm from Rifle. I mean, I'm glad I've never seen it, but I guess I can understand that
how it can be more prevalent.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's 0.81 incidents with a gun per 100,000 residents. So we have about 3 million, it's about 24 incidents a year, double the national average.
That's so nuts. That's so nuts. Well, I think we're going to wrap up there. We're going to take another quick break, and when we come back, our Rocky Mountain highs and lows, our wins and fails of the week. This episode is brought to you by Fetch. Fetch is a kennel alternative right here in Denver, not a traditional doggy daycare or boarding school. They offer one-on-one private pet care for all kinds of pets, both furry and non-furry. And their employees are experienced, insured, bonded, and background checked, so you can rest easy knowing your pet is in good hands. Basically, they know pets. I used to watch a Burmese mountain dog named Sven, who was just walking a polar bear. It was insane. Fetch offers pet sitting, dog walking, pet taxi, medication administration, and more. And he hated going on walks. I could walk him around the block, and then he'd just like to lay in the bathtub. So if you're looking for high quality pet care you can trust, check out Fetch at northdenver.fetchpetcare.com. That's northdenver.fetchpetcare.com. And we're back doing our Rocky Mountain highs and lows of the week, things that ruled, things that sucked. Start with our fails. Joshua, what have you got?
Bella, she's a Belgian Malinois. I don't know if I'm saying that breed right. She was a service animal and bit 2 people on American Airlines flight this week. One was a passenger, and the other was a flight attendant. Level 4 out of level 6, out of 6 levels of dog bites. So big bites on this flight. So definitely sad. You know?
I am highly suspicious of
Right.
this because I think we've all seen the tiny Chihuahua with a service dog vest on. And believe me, I'm a Chihuahua lover. I love them. Those are not generally a breed trained to be service dogs.
Right.
Yes, exactly. For a reason. I think I've got several friends with disabilities who have service dogs. The process to get service dogs is so detailed and so deep. These dogs have to go through so much training. They're rejected a lot if they don't meet this criteria and can do these things. So I just feel like the service dog here was maybe
A little bit of stolen valor. Yeah.
was not a service dog. So
Woof.
if I'm side-eyeing your service dog, it's because I think you don't have a real service dog. So,
Yeah.
but still sucks for people to get bit on a plane. That sounds
Oh my gosh.
absolutely terrifying.
What do you do?
I don't.
Where do you
Cry.
go?
It's one of those moments where it's like always a doctor appears. Wait, I'm a doctor. And you're like, oh, thank God
Yeah.
you're here because
I feel
this
like that's
person's going to die.
The one time on a flight where you can make it about you. Like, I'm going to make an issue. This is everybody's problem now.
Please
You're
help me.
right.
Please. Bruce, what about you? What's your fail this week?
Arcade Fire being booked at Red Rocks Amphitheater.
Ooh.
Just Arcade Fire being booked in 2024. For those that don't know, when
Can
Butler
you give us a little
just-
background?
when Butler being accused and I think like confirmed as like sexual assault issues as recently, it was like 2 years ago, I think. And Arcade Fire kind of went underground. Their opener like left tour mid-tour because she was like, I cannot be a part of this. I don't support it. I saw last year they were headlining Corona Festival in Mexico City, and that was like, why? But then seeing them now at Red Rocks, especially last year after Ryan Adams being booked in Boulder, like, y'all, what are we doing here? So that's my big fail. Like,
Is that why this is their only North American date?
yeah, also that, like, we are hosting their only North American date. What are we thinking? But I've seen friends post about it like, oh, I'm so excited. Also, like, they haven't released a good album since 2011. Like, y'all.
Also, some people saw him at the Larimer Lounge 15 years, 20 years ago. So
Yeah, come on.
maybe that was a better time. Probably not. Who
Who can
knows?
say?
That's
15 years
such
ago in music was also terrifying for women.
This makes a little bit more sense to me because honestly, I had forgotten about that, but I saw the headline that it was their only North American date. And I was like, that is very strange. Not that one-offs at Red Rocks are not common, but also it's not like it's hard to book Red Rocks. They couldn't find anyone else. There wasn't any, I don't know.
Yeah, what?
Bad booking. Bad
Not great
booking choice. Well, I want to make a quick note. One of my fails was my favorite music producer of all time, Steve Albini, passed away this week.
Yeah.
He doesn't have any Denver connections that I know of yet, but if you are out there and you are listening and you know a Denver-connected band that had an album produced by Steve Albini, please let me know. He produced hundreds of records. This was like the working man's DIY producer. His ethics were so deep on how artists should be paid and treated. He also was in incredible bands, just an incredible musician. I'm heartbroken. He passed away this week. But my other fail that's Denver related is we spoke a little bit about it earlier. The Nuggets are the Jamal Murray throwing a heat pack on the floor during the game, like throwing a hissy fit. Why? What are we doing? What is wrong with us? Was anyone else
Road rage. Does Jamal Murray have road rage too?
I don't know what I've heard people see like Jokic leave in his car. I wonder what Jamal's driving. Maybe that's his problem. Even Michael Malone was out of control.
Oh my gosh, yeah.
I mean, that's what the Timberwolves do to you. You know what I mean? They are so off.
Your team got stomped by them too.
Yeah, exactly. And the third quarters is just demoralizing. And you're like, I thought Kevin Durant and Booker were good at basketball. And you're like, I guess not. And you're like,
they're some of the best in the league and they still got.
Yeah, McDaniel's been playing out of his mind. Gobert's been playing. And Cat's coming back and he can extend the floor. It was everybody thought it was one of the worst trades like 18 months ago, and now I want them to beat Boston. Like I'm a Timberwolves fan. That's so which is tough because I was a Suns fan on here first, and now I'm a Timberwolves fan as they are continuing to sweep the Nuggets. That's all right. Maybe the Nuggets will bounce back. Hey,
they've got a game tonight, Friday night.
If you got Jokic, you always got a chance.
I know.
MVP. I mean, that's
okay. You know what? Let's get to our wins.
My win.
Bruce, let us in here.
Three-time MVP Nikola Jokic. He looks like a toddler when he's out there playing, but absolutely so fun to watch him. I love watching Jokic. He
moves so slow, and it makes people so mad, and he's so good.
And his passing is so fun to watch. When you can just watch a person, it just across the court. He's so strong.
Just fling it behind his back. You're just like, what?
And just kind of like how disinterested he is in being like famous or like,
I
need to go home
endearing.
and I need to go be with my horses now.
I saw an interview with him where they were like, how do you feel about Denver? Like, do you like this place? Do you like your fan base? He's like, yeah, they leave me alone. I'm out at Washington Park with my child. They don't bother me. I love it here. I was
Perfect.
like, good. I'm glad we respect you.
Great.
This was a good win. Third year in a row.
He deserved it. It probably should have been 4. He deserved it last year over Embiid, in my personal opinion, but he deserved it this year too. Shea did great. He had a fantastic season, but yeah, Jokic was better the entire season.
At least we have him.
Yeah, that's a big deal. That's a big deal.
It is a nice
second rounder.
It is like the sports landscape in Denver, which is so bleak right now.
The Avalanche are doing great.
Avs are doing great. McKinnon might also get MVP, which I'm all for.
Which would be amazing. Which would be so cool too. History making, two MVPs.
Well, great. You and I were also talking about this. Like my 2 favorite teams. Like,
I know. I was
A1 is the Rockies.
You're like a psychotically loving Rockies fan, which I admire
so much. And then Broncos, and I'm just like, okay, like my 2 teams are just. I'm having a hard time. So I'm like really counting on the Nuggets really pulling through, and really counting on the Avs pulling through.
Georgie is somehow doing it. You know what I mean? He played terrible that first period, and then his overtime performance was great. It's cool to watch somebody like who's like bad at homework then suddenly get good at homework when it matters the most. You know what I mean? Like it feels like a triumphant story.
Well, at least we have the Avs. Bruce, what's your win?
My win is there is this new program where folks can call 211 and they can host migrants coming in their home, which I think this actually debuted on the 1st of May. I just found out about it this week, though, so this is my win for the week.
Yeah.
And I think this is a great opportunity for folks to help out our new migrant neighbors, and these new migrants can also call and request space. So you can host people in your home if you have like an extra room, empty basement, finished basement. Treat these people with good hospitality. But I think it's super helpful, and it's a nonprofit that's running it that has experience doing all of this. And so
that's great.
They give you a stipend for extra groceries. And like, let's be clear, this is not like a money-making situation, but it's like you are helping out, they're helping you out, and it just makes the city a little bit more welcoming and open. And, you know, a lot of people are looking for a solution to help as opposed to like, let's put them on a bus and ship them somewhere else. So I was very touched when I saw that was an option, and how can I put a door up in my room for a space?
People just need the connection to make that happen. They might have that space, but they don't know how to get connected with folks. And so, I mean, a lot of these folks have families. You're helping. I don't know. That's incredible. My hope would be that we could continue this on to maybe transform this model into something that we do for all of our unhoused neighbors eventually.
Right?
It's a really cool idea because, I mean, I have to say I was a house sitter in this city for a long time, and there's a lot of giant empty houses in this city where folks have like 4 bedrooms and no one is in them.
It's like a couple.
Yeah, it's really interesting. Like, no shade, but like there might be something you could do with that space.
Well, it's direct action and direct impact, which you love to see.
Well, right? And it's mutual, community to community. It's mutual aid to a certain extent where we're just helping each other out. So I love that. 211. Okay, good to know. My win this week was my own mother was featured on Fox 31 this week for Nurses Week. Brooke Kavanaugh for being a nurse at what is now known as Advent Health for 51 years.
Congratulations.
That's beautiful.
Yeah. So my mom's been a nurse my whole life. The only other job she ever had was lifeguard, which is incredible. And then she had
water nurse.
She had a fake ID so she could work at a nursing home as a candy striper.
That's so cute.
I know, like this is like in her blood. But what was cool about watching this profile was I'd heard things that I'd never heard my mom say before, which was I liked science and that's why I went into nursing. I've never heard her say that. And so it was like a cool way to like see my mom in a different light because like to me, she's my mom. She's a nurse. She fixes everything. There's I never felt like I needed, I just always have my mom. My mom always knows what to do, how to handle things. Talk about a person in a crisis situation. She doesn't get upset. Nothing.
She doesn't have road rage.
No, she doesn't. She really doesn't. It's like really wild. But yeah, it was so cool to see her recognized and acknowledged for 51 years in healthcare, helping people mostly in the ER for that whole time, every day.
Wow.
So shout out to Brooke. Good job, Mom. Before we go, Bruce, originally you and I were talking because you said, hey, I want to tell folks about Girls Rock Denver.
Yes.
I am an old volunteer from back in the day. I love this program. Tell folks about what Girls Rock Denver is and how they can get involved.
Yeah, Girls Rock Denver is a week-long camp for girls and gender-expansive kids ages 7 to 18 to come to a summer camp, learn how to play an instrument, write a song with other kids, and at the very end, perform. So in a whole entire week, they're creating a band, they're creating a name, creating a logo, writing a song, learning how to play an instrument, and then sharing that with friends and family at like a legit venue, like the Oriental or the Marquee.
So
or something.
fun.
Yeah,
I get
so much
goosebumps
fun.
because this is one of my favorite things to see all year is the Girls Rock Denver Showcase.
It's
is
so sweet.
Incredible because like you said, they do all of that in 1 week.
And
you can walk in as a kid who's never played an instrument.
Yeah, and it's so welcoming and inviting. You know, every time that we're looking for, you know, we got to make an announcement. I rock, you rock, we rock, girls rock. Like that's like the chant, and it's just. You know, I wish I would have had something like that when I was growing up. Like,
Same.
And it's very much in the vein of like Riot Girl, like Carrie Brownstein kind of founded the model in the Pacific Northwest, and it's just kind of grown from there. There's different branches of girls rock throughout the country, and ours has been around 15-ish years.
At least, I think, in some capacity. And it's completely volunteer run.
Mm-hmm.
And it also includes, you get music history and there's classes on confidence on stage and all of these things that I think even you, Joshua, you would identify with that we like kind of figure out as you go along as a comedian. You just have to like pick it up. And this kind of teaches kids from the beginning.
And it's
so cool.
Cute. So I volunteered for a few years now on like introductory bass. So like 7-year-olds learning how to play bass.
It's so fun.
And they're writing songs about wolves falling in love.
Oh, it's so fun. Their songs are so fun.
They're so cute. And then it goes up to like the teenagers who are like in legit bands. Like
I know a couple of young folks who have come out of it who are still in bands.
Yeah, like the band Ipecac, Ariadne, who plays guitar, she was like my bass co-instructor.
Yeah.
And that's how I met her. And now she's in like the #1 band in Denver right now that's like up and coming. She's a UMS talent buyer. Like, and it's
because there's these connections here, which is where I think the volunteer part is really cool. So you can volunteer. You don't have to have any experience in music, but this is also where you can meet other people that are in music.
Yeah.
I've gotten jobs from my Girls Rock volunteering connection.
It's so great. Yeah. So you can, if you play an instrument and it's bass, drums, guitar, keys, and vocals, and then there's like a beats thing for like DJing and things like that. So if you know any of those things, you can volunteer and help teach on different levels. But if you don't know anything about playing an instrument, there are still roles that we need help with. And so you can go to the Girls Rock website and just fill out a little form. And we, you know, it's like background check. It's like background check because working with young
children,
kids, but it's
but you can volunteer for a day, you can volunteer for the whole week, you can volunteer for one session, just anything. We'll put a link in the show notes, but
perfect.
Yeah, when is it?
The Girls Rock Camp is the first week of August, so like July, I don't know, 30th, I think, through August 3rd is the showcase, and we are working on the venue right now. We've got a couple of really good options.
Yay!
So I'll like send you more information once we have all of that. But
such a fun event.
Yeah, gearing up for all of that. And if you are at all interested, just check out the website or follow us on Instagram. And
awesome.
It's the cutest week
I love it.
the year.
I cry every time. I cry every time.
Also, I want to hear that Wolf love song.
Their songs are so good. Their songs are so good, and they're the way they come up with they come up with band names because I was a band manager too. You're managing a band, but you're basically just like watching kids figure out stuff together. It's so incredible. Cute. Joshua, before we go, do you have anything you want to let folks know about?
Yeah, doing Denver Fringe this year. So that's gonna be the first week of June. Come on out. I'm doing 3 different shows. One's with Georgia Comstock headlining. The second one's with this guy I met at Casa Bonita. He does puppets. And so he's creating a whole puppet show. He's making the puppets. Like you can watch his Instagram stories now, and he's making new puppets for this show.
Cool.
It's kind of like the puppets are students and then the classroom, and then they'll do like different stuff. And then I'm gonna try to do a little bit of magic, music, comedy night at Redline. I've been trying to make Tas La Vu work for a while. Gonna relaunch it at Denver Fringe on Saturday at Redline. So 3 nights, Thursday, Friday, Saturday. Come out for Denver Fringe. It's getting better, and you can be a part of making it better, and you should, because Fringe is cool.
Awesome. We'll put a link to that in the show notes as well. Joshua, Bruce, thank you both so much.
Thank you.
Thank you. I'm so sorry.
I was like, you have to say goodbye. That's all for today here on CityCast Denver. Our producers this week were Paul Caroli, Olivia Jewell-Love, Natalie Rivera, Dylan Brogan, and Elizabeth Kama. Lizzie Goldsmith, Adrian Gonzalez, and Peyton Garcia write our morning newsletter, Hey Denver. And I'm Bree Davies, your host. Our music is by Los Mogochetes with additional mixing by Tyler Lindgren. If you haven't already, subscribe wherever you get your podcasts, follow us on Instagram at CityCast Denver, and tell Jamal Murray about us next time you see him. You can sign up for our daily newsletter and learn more about us at denver.citycast.fm. See you next week.
I also like the way he said Uber. You're like, Uber. You're like, you know French.